The moment Consumer Reports dropped their latest reliability rankings, the entire auto industry stopped breathing. Not because one or two models performed badly, but because this has officially become the most unreliable year in modern car history. A collapse no one saw coming, not even die-hard automotive insiders. And today, we're diving deep into the chaos. Because this isn't just a list of bad cars, it's a full-scale industry meltdown that exposes which brands failed, which ones shocked everyone, and why modern tech might be destroying reliability faster than automakers can fix it. Consumer Reports opened with a bombshell. Reliability scores have crashed across almost every major brand, and the list of the worst offenders reads like a plot twist. Cars that were once praised as dependable are now sitting at the bottom of the rankings. EVs, luxury SUVs, popular family crossovers, nobody was safe this year. For the first time, we're seeing the lowest scoring models coming from brands that built their reputation on dependability. The 10 worst cars of the year include names people trusted, models that sold in massive numbers, and vehicles that dealerships once used as easy sells. But this year, they've become liabilities, and the reason? Modern technology has officially gone too far. Consumer Reports pointed straight to the real problem: oversized touchscreens, complex software systems, new driving assistants, and more electronic components than a laptop. Today's cars aren't mechanical machines anymore. They're rolling computers, and computers fail, touchscreens freeze, sensors glitch, digital gauge clusters reboot. Even brand new cars are being returned to dealerships for software patches, updates, resets, and recalibrations. In the rush to modernize, automakers may have unintentionally broken the very thing that made ownership stress-free: reliability. But here's where the shock becomes historic. Even Toyota, Honda, and Lexus took a hit this year. The three brands known worldwide for bulletproof reliability, the holy trinity of dependability, all slid down the rankings. For years, these brands were untouchable. Now, even they're struggling with the same software problems, hybrid system issues, and tech overload that plague the industry. Owners are reporting infotainment failures, inaccurate driver assist alerts, and electrical gremlins never seen before. When the most reliable brands in the world stumble, you know it's bad. Meanwhile, EVs suffered their worst reliability year ever. Battery issues, charging system failures, cooling problems, firmware glitches, all of it pushed electric vehicles to the bottom of the rankings. Consumer Reports didn't sugarcoat anything. EVs are breaking more often than gas cars, repairs are more expensive, and software updates can sometimes make the issues worse. The promise of low-maintenance EV ownership took a reality check this year, and it has dealerships panicking over frustrated customers and plummeting resale values. Speaking of collapses, 5 major brands completely fell off a cliff. Some were expected, others were jaw-dropping. Big-name luxury automakers, once seen as prestige symbols, delivered some of the worst reliability scores ever recorded. And in a beautiful twist of irony, a few underdog brands rose dramatically, landing shockingly high on the list while others sank. The surprise winner of the year, the new reliability king, wasn't a flashy luxury brand or a massive automaker. It was a company that focused on simpler engineering, consistent quality control, and fewer gimmicks, proving once again that less tech often means more reliability. Dealerships are already feeling the impact. Their best-selling models, the ones they counted on, just got destroyed by Consumer Reports findings. Customers are backing out, trade-in values are dropping, used car lots are suddenly filled with models owners want to dump before prices fall even further. Resale values for the worst-scoring cars are collapsing, leaving buyers stunned as their safe purchase loses thousands overnight. And the craziest part, many of these unreliable models were marketed as premium, modern, and advanced. Luxury brands, especially the big German players, got hit the hardest. The more expensive the car, the more it broke. Advanced suspensions, four-wheel steering, multi-screen dashboards, countless sensors, all of it led to skyrocketing failure rates. Imagine paying 6 figures for a vehicle that spends more time in service than on the road. Owners are furious, warranty claims are rising, and automakers are scrambling to explain how their flagship models became reliability disasters. What's becoming painfully clear is that automakers traded reliability for technology. Consumer Reports confirmed what many owners suspected: rapid development cycles, cheap electronic parts, supply chain shortcuts, and rushed software deployment all contributed to one of the worst reliability years on record. Cars are being released before they're ready, features are shipped unfinished, safety systems rely on sensors that glitch in rain, fog, or traffic, and the result is an industry forced to face its own flaws. This year exposed every weak point, and now customers are more skeptical than ever. Buyers want to know which models to avoid, which brands collapsed, which EVs failed hardest, and which hybrids quietly became the new champions of dependability. Hybrids, in fact, dominated the rankings, proof that older proven tech still outperforms the complicated systems automakers are rushing to install. While EVs struggled, hybrids soared, taking many of the top spots and offering the perfect balance of efficiency and reliability that customers desperately want. And this shift is rewriting the entire market in real time. For years, automakers told customers that EVs were the future. Clean, modern, simple. But Consumer Reports findings show that the real winners today are the vehicles that didn't chase flashy tech at the expense of reliability. Hybrids with their proven systems and simpler electronics have become the new gold standard. They're delivering better fuel economy, fewer breakdowns, and long-term dependability that gas cars and EVs are struggling to match. Dealers are suddenly pushing hybrid inventory harder than ever because customers are walking away from anything with a reputation for glitchy screens or unpredictable software. But even more shocking is how this reliability meltdown exposed deep manufacturing flaws across the industry. Behind the scenes, insiders are talking about rushed production schedules, outsourced parts of unknown quality, and supply chain shortcuts that were taken during the pandemic. Shortcuts that are now coming back to haunt the automakers. Consumer Reports highlighted how inconsistent build quality has led to a wave of mechanical failures, from transmission defects to weak suspension components, all hitting at once. Some models showed failure rates 2 or even 3 times higher than just a few years ago. It's not just software anymore, it's the whole system breaking down, and owners are feeling the frustration like never before. Stories are flooding forums and social media. Brand new cars stuck at dealerships waiting for parts, EVs bricked after software updates, luxury SUVs throwing warning lights like a Christmas tree. Many customers say they would have never believed that a 6-month-old vehicle could have this many problems. And for the first time, long-trusted nameplates are being questioned. The public confidence that automakers relied on is crumbling. Meanwhile, the used car market is already reacting. Models with poor reliability scores are dropping fast in value, shocking owners who expected their vehicles to hold strong. Dealers are refusing certain trade-ins. Auction prices are falling. Finance companies are tightening approvals on models that landed at the bottom of the list. Consumer Reports didn't just influence opinions, it triggered a market correction that's punishing the worst performers and rewarding the few brands that manage to maintain stability. It gets even worse for the luxury segment. High-end brands, the ones selling ultimate driving machines and future tech experiences, suffered some of the steepest drops in reliability. The technologies that were supposed to elevate the driving experience have instead become the source of endless failures. Air suspensions collapsing, advanced steering systems malfunctioning, multi-zone sensors misreading the environment, ADAS systems slamming brakes unexpectedly. These aren't minor glitches. These are major, dangerous flaws happening in cars that cost more than houses in some markets. Dealers can't keep up with the repairs. Customers are demanding buybacks. What used to be luxury is now a gamble. And yet, amidst this chaos, a new reliability king emerged. A brand that climbed to the top by focusing on fundamentals instead of gimmicks. While giant automakers rushed into touchscreen wars and digital dashboards, this brand kept its systems simple, robust, and thoroughly tested. And now, they're being rewarded with skyrocketing demand. Their resale values are climbing, their dealers are thriving, and customers are realizing that old-school engineering might just be the future of dependability. Consumer Reports' harshest report ever didn't just expose which cars failed. It revealed why the industry is cracking. Automakers pushed too far, too fast. They loaded vehicles with tech customers didn't ask for, systems that weren't mature, and software that wasn't ready. They sacrificed long-term durability for short-term headlines, and the results are now impossible to hide. This year will be remembered as the wake-up call the industry tried to avoid. But we're not done yet, because next, we're breaking down the most shocking models on the cars you must avoid in 2025 list, including bestsellers that went from reliable to risky almost overnight, the unexpected losers, and the surprising models that quietly improved while everyone else fell apart. And when you see which models made the must-avoid list, it becomes painfully clear how deep the reliability crisis truly runs. Some of these vehicles were praised just a year or two ago, some had massive marketing campaigns behind them, some were best sellers, the kind you'd see everywhere on the road. Yet now, according to Consumer Reports, they're some of the riskiest purchases you can make in 2025. We're talking engines with premature failures, transmissions that shudder before 20,000 miles, electrical systems that short out for no reason, and infotainment screens that go black at highway speeds. These aren't small issues, they're catastrophic flaws that leave owners stranded, frustrated, and financially trapped. Take a look at the models with the sharpest decline. You'll see big-name crossovers, popular family SUVs, and even vehicles from brands once crowned as reliability champions. Some fell more than 10 spots in the rankings. Others dropped to the bottom entirely. And when Consumer Reports dug deeper, the reasons became clear. Rushed redesigns, unproven new engines, cheap sensors, and software updates that were pushed out too fast. Automakers were so focused on keeping up with the tech race that they forgot the most important thing: building cars that actually work. But the most dramatic part of this entire situation is how customers are responding. People aren't just avoiding the worst models, they're abandoning entire brands. Dealers are reporting walkouts mid-negotiation, some manufacturers are seeing record-high warranty claims, and social media has turned into a non-stop stream of owners warning others, don't buy this car. Mine broke down twice in 4 months. I wish I had checked the reliability before I bought it. This kind of public distrust spreads fast, especially when it involves thousands of real owners all saying the same thing. Meanwhile, the brands that weathered the storm, the ones that kept their engineering simple, refined, and consistent, are becoming the new heroes. Their vehicles aren't the flashiest. They're not filled with oversized dashboards or complicated driving assistants. Instead, they focus on proven drivetrains, durable components, and software that actually works. And in a year where almost everyone lost ground, these brands climbed up the rankings and stunned the industry. Consumers are starting to reward the companies that resist the trend of more tech, more problems. And that brings us to the biggest question: what happens next? Automakers can't ignore this anymore. Even behind closed doors, sources are saying the same thing. Engineers are being redirected, new model launches are being delayed, and companies are quietly rewriting their strategies. Expect fewer radical redesigns and more refinement. Expect more recalls, more service campaigns, and more software patches as manufacturers scramble to clean up this mess. And expect some brutal internal consequences, because executives know this reliability collapse could cost billions. The craziest part? This might only be the beginning. Consumer Reports hinted that if automakers continue down this path, chasing bigger screens, more sensors, and rushed tech, reliability could drop even further over the next few years. But if some brands pull back and focus on fundamentals, we could see a massive shift in who dominates the market. The winners of this reliability war won't be the companies with the flashiest features, but the ones with the most durable engineering. In a moment, we're going even deeper, breaking down the 5 brands that completely collapsed, the surprise manufacturers that skyrocketed in dependability, and the behind-the-scenes failures that created the worst reliability year ever. And once you see how far some of these brands have fallen, you'll understand why insiders are calling this the reliability collapse of a generation. Because the 5 automakers that crashed hardest weren't small companies or newcomers, they were mainstream giants. Brands that millions of people trusted, brands that built their reputation on quality, consistency, and long-term durability. And in one brutal year, all of that was shattered. Consumer Reports revealed that some of these brands plunged more than 15 ranking spots in a single year, an almost unheard of drop. Why? Because they were hit with a perfect storm of failures. New powertrains that weren't properly tested, cost-cutting decisions that weakened critical components, overloaded software systems that glitched under normal driving conditions. It wasn't one problem, it was dozens happening at the same time, across multiple models, overwhelming dealers and leaving customers furious. One of the hardest hit categories was the luxury segment, where expensive brands with cutting-edge tech were expected to perform flawlessly. Instead, they delivered some of the worst reliability scores ever recorded. Owners reported lane-keeping systems jerking the wheel unexpectedly, infotainment screens rebooting mid-drive, air suspension systems failing in under a year, and massive electrical issues that required weeks in the service bay. For many customers, this was their first time experiencing large-scale failures, and it has permanently damaged trust. lost. But on the other end of the spectrum were the surprise winners, the brands that quietly climbed the rankings while everyone else fell apart. These were companies that focused less on trend chasing and more on execution. They didn't rush redesigns, they didn't gamble on untested tech, they perfected what already worked, and now they're being rewarded. Consumer Reports highlighted how these brands delivered consistent reliability across multiple models, creating a level of stability that's becoming extremely rare in today's market. Their vehicles are suddenly in higher demand, resale values are climbing, and buyers are shifting toward them in droves. This reliability shakeup didn't just expose the weaknesses of individual automakers, it revealed systemic flaws baked into today's manufacturing processes. Many of the issues trace back to supply chain shortcuts taken during the last few years. Automakers substituted cheaper components, switched suppliers, or adopted new electronics out of necessity. And now those decisions are showing their consequences. Everything from faulty sensors to weak plastic connectors to undertested control modules contributed to this massive decline. And because these parts are buried deep inside modern vehicles, fixing them can require complete disassembly, turning simple repairs into $1,000 nightmares. But perhaps the most telling detail is how this crisis is changing customer behavior. More buyers than ever are searching specifically for model years known for reliability. They're skipping the newest redesigns and choosing the last year of the previous generation instead, because those vehicles are proven, stable, and less experimental. Even dealers admit it. The new model year excitement is fading fast, replaced by skepticism and hesitation. And while the industry is scrambling to recover, one category is thriving like never before: hybrids. Consumer Reports made it clear. Hybrids dominated the rankings. They're not as mechanically complex as EVs, not as electronically bloated as modern gas cars, and have powertrains refined over decades. Their failure rates were significantly lower, their long-term durability far better, and customers overwhelmingly satisfied. As EVs struggle and gas cars get overloaded with fragile tech, hybrids are becoming the new reliability kings. But this raises an even bigger question. Are automakers listening? Are they willing to slow down, simplify, and rebuild trust? Or will they continue pushing unfinished technology into every model? Because right now, the path they're on leads to more breakdowns, more recalls, and more angry customers. Up next, we're breaking down the industry's biggest embarrassment: the specific engineering failures, cost-cutting decisions, and rushed technologies that forced Consumer Reports to issue their harshest reliability warning ever. And when you look behind the curtain at the engineering decisions that led to this collapse, it becomes clear why insiders are calling this the auto industry's biggest embarrassment. These weren't random malfunctions or one-off mistakes. They were the predictable result of automakers cutting corners, rushing technology, and prioritizing flashy features over long-term reliability. Consumer Reports didn't hold back. They outlined exactly how manufacturers set themselves up for failure. One of the biggest culprits was over-engineering for the sake of marketing. Automakers chased bigger screens, more sensors, more driver assist features, and increasingly complex electrical systems. Not because customers demanded them, but because each company felt pressured to out-tech the competition. The result? Cars filled with experimental systems that weren't ready for real-world use. Owners reported lane departure warnings activating randomly, blind spot sensors failing in bad weather, smart cruise control misreading traffic, and dashboards that froze like an outdated phone. These were supposed to be premium upgrades. Instead, they became the leading source of breakdowns. Then there was the manufacturing shortcuts. During supply chain shortages, many automakers quietly switched suppliers, used cheaper materials, or replaced proven components with untested alternatives. Those decisions didn't show up immediately, but they hit hard this year. Consumer Reports uncovered failure patterns linked to flimsy connectors, brittle wiring harnesses, lower grade plastics in key load-bearing areas, and redesigned components that simply didn't hold up. What used to last on 250,000 miles is now wearing out in 40,000, and it's happening across multiple brands. Perhaps the most embarrassing discovery: some vehicles are failing because their software systems can't handle their own hardware. The processors in many digital dashboards, infotainment units, and ADAS systems are overwhelmed by updates and new features. Owners are experiencing frozen screens, audio that stops working, navigation that crashes, and instrument clusters that reboot while driving. Think about that. Your speedometer disappearing mid-drive. Consumer Reports called it one of the most dangerous reliability trends they've ever recorded. All of this is creating intense pressure inside the industry. Engineers are being forced to prioritize patching problems instead of innovating. Technical service bulletins are exploding in number. Dealerships are begging manufacturers for more parts. And meanwhile, automakers are desperately trying to spin the narrative, blaming weather, driving habits, or isolated incidents. But with thousands of owners reporting the same failures, the truth is impossible to hide. And here's where the real damage hits: brand reputation. Reliability is the foundation that automakers build decades of customer loyalty on. Once that trust is broken, it takes years, sometimes generations, to rebuild. Consumer Reports' latest rankings didn't just embarrass a few companies, they exposed structural weaknesses in brands that once appeared untouchable. Even automakers who thought their history would protect them are now facing angry customers, warranty cost explosions, and plummeting resale values. At the same time, the data highlighted something automakers didn't want to admit: simple cars are more reliable. Models without excessive digital features, without experimental engines, and without complex multi-stage systems performed far better. Owners of these vehicles reported fewer headaches, fewer warranty visits, and overall higher satisfaction. It's almost poetic. While the industry raced to create smart cars, the dependable ones turned out to be the ones that stayed closer to traditional engineering principles. But here's the twist that shocked everyone. Despite this being the worst reliability year on record, one brand managed to rise above the chaos and claim the title of new reliability king. A brand that refused to compromise on quality control. A brand that rejected the tech trend others blindly followed. A brand that tripled down on mechanical durability and balanced, mature software. Their models didn't just perform well, they crushed the competition across multiple categories. Dealers can't keep them in stock. Owners are praising them online, and the industry is paying attention, asking, what are they doing differently?